The sirens weren't supposed to be coming for us, and yet there they were, screaming down Maple Grove like Judgment Day with a badge. That's when I knew Karen had finally crossed a line she couldn't uncross. Red and blue lights splashed through our living room windows, crawling across the walls like guilt. I was still holding my coffee mid-sip when my stomach dropped so hard it felt personal. Outside, my wife stood frozen in the driveway, one hand gripping a garden hose, the other lifted slightly like she'd just been caught committing a felony with landscaping equipment. Across the street, Karen watched, arms folded, chin lifted, smiling. Not a worried smile, not a confused one, the kind of smile someone wears when they think they've won. And if you love powerful stories where bullies overplay their hand and karma shows up on time, you don't want to miss this. But before we continue, tell us where you're watching from. It honestly makes us happy to see how far our stories travel. Now let me rewind, because Karen didn't just wake up like this. She trained for it. We moved to Maple Grove 3 months earlier. Quiet suburb, tall trees, the kind of street that smells like fresh mulch and unresolved HOA trauma. Perfect for starting over after my wife retired from the fire department when a knee injury finally forced her out. 20 years of running into burning buildings doesn't just turn off, though, so she volunteered. Fire safety classes, emergency drills, community outreach, the stuff that saves lives quietly while nobody's filming. What we didn't realize was that Maple Grove already had an emergency response system. Her name was Karen. Karen ran the HOA like a medieval kingdom with Wi-Fi. Mid-50s, country club chic, clipboard always locked and loaded. She enforced rules nobody remembered approving. Trash cans visible after 4 p.m.? Warning. Grass half an inch too tall? Fine. Wrong shade of black on a mailbox? Letter in bold font like a ransom note. Our first clash came week 2. My wife was washing fire department demo equipment in the driveway, official gear for a school safety event. Karen appeared like she'd been summoned by moisture. "Excuse me," she said sweetly, smiling the way people do right before calling the cops on a lemonade stand. "We're under a drought advisory. Non-essential water use is prohibited." My wife calmly explained. "Permits, documentation, fire department equipment, essential use." Karen nodded and hated her forever. From that day on, we were prey. Photos of our yard, measurements of our grass with an actual ruler, an email to the HOA board claiming my wife's volunteer parking placard was an unauthorized vehicle modification. And that was before the fire safety drill. Because the moment my wife decided to teach the neighborhood how not to burn to the ground, Karen saw opportunity. And she waited. Karen didn't just dislike the fire safety drill. She treated it like a personal insult. The moment my wife announced it at the HOA meeting, Karen's pen stopped moving. Her smile froze. You could practically hear the gears grinding behind her eyes as she calculated how to kill it without looking evil. She failed. "This is inappropriate," Karen snapped, tapping her clipboard like a judge's gavel. "Playing with water during a drought? What kind of example does this set?" My wife didn't flinch. She explained everything calmly. City permits, water department approval, written HOA notice, flyers delivered 2 weeks in advance. The drill would use a department water truck, minimal hose use, and focus on extinguisher training and evacuation. Actual safety. Real lives. The board nodded. Agreed. Approved. Karen did not. "I'll be watching," she said, eyes sharp. "Every single drop. 1 gallon over and I'm calling the authorities." My wife smiled. Not a polite smile. The smile she used on rookie firefighters right before training got painful. Saturday morning arrived clear and calm. A fire truck rolled in. Kids lined up to try on helmets. Parents laughed. Neighbors who hadn't spoken in years stood side by side. My wife moved through the crowd like she was exactly where she belonged, confident, warm, in control. And Karen? Karen stood on her porch with her phone already in her hand. Waiting. She didn't clap, didn't smile, didn't participate. She watched that hose like it owed her money. The final demonstration began, a controlled foam suppression lesson. 2 gallons of water, environmentally safe foam. Everything logged, approved, documented. My wife explained each step slowly, clearly. That's when Karen stepped forward. Loud, proud, certain. "I'm calling 911." The laughter stopped. Phones came out, and Karen finally made the call she'd been rehearsing in her head all week, convinced this was the moment she'd prove no one was above her rules. Karen didn't even lower her phone when the sirens started. They came fast. 2 patrol cars tearing down Maple Grove, lights flashing like we'd staged a crime scene instead of a safety class. Kids went quiet, parents stiffened, conversations died mid-sentence. Karen stood taller with every wail, her mouth set in a look that said, "Watch this." She marched toward the officers the moment they stepped out. "Finally," she said, waving her phone like a golden ticket. "I've been reporting illegal water usage for over 20 minutes. This woman is violating drought regulations and causing a public disturbance." Officer Ramirez glanced past Karen and stopped. A fire truck sat calmly in the cul-de-sac. Cones were placed correctly. Permits were clipped to a board. My wife stood beside a group of kids, helmet tucked under her arm, calm as a lake. Before the officer could ask a single question, another vehicle rolled in. A black SUV. City seal on the door. Fire Chief Alvarez stepped out. Everything shifted. He took one look at the setup, then at my wife, recognition flickering instantly. His jaw tightened. He turned to the officers. "Why?" he asked evenly. "Are police interrupting a permitted fire department safety drill?" Karen's smile collapsed like a folding chair. She stepped forward again, desperate now. "I'm just enforcing HOA rules. No one is above them." The chief finally looked at her. "This drill was approved by the city, the water department, and formally notified to your HOA," he said. "You knowingly filed a false police report and interfered with emergency services." Officer Ramirez cleared his throat. "Ma'am, that's a misdemeanor." Behind Karen, neighbors started talking, then venting, then unloading. Years of fines, threats, petty warnings. Karen turned, searching for support, and found none. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because the ending gets even sweeter. By nightfall, Karen's authority collapsed faster than her smile had. Someone uploaded the video to the HOA Facebook page. The sirens, the chief's arrival, Karen arguing while surrounded by fire trucks and stunned neighbors. By midnight, the comments had exploded. Not opinions, receipts. Screenshots of fines, photos of violation letters, emails written in bold caps over chalk drawings, holiday wreaths, kids' bikes left out too long. More than 50 formal complaints were filed before sunrise. An emergency HOA meeting was scheduled for the next evening, standing room only. Karen arrived early, clipboard in hand, posture rigid, still pretending she had control. She lost it 5 minutes in. Neighbors spoke calmly, clearly, one after another, not angry, just finished. When Karen tried to interrupt, the board shut her down. Then the fire department's formal complaint was read aloud. Then the city's legal concerns. The vote wasn't close. Karen lost all enforcement authority effective immediately, but karma hadn't clocked out yet. Weeks later, the district attorney moved forward. Karen pled no contest to filing a false report and interfering with emergency services. The sentence landed like poetry: a fine, probation, and community service. Assigned to the fire department's public education program, under my wife's supervision. The judge didn't smile when he read it. Karen didn't either. But my wife, she thanked the court professionally and handed Karen a stack of pamphlets labeled Fire Safety Basics. Karen now spends her Saturdays setting up chairs and refilling water coolers. Carefully monitored, measured, documented, every single drop. If you love this story, like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with someone who's dealt with a Karen, and tell us where you're watching from. It truly makes us happy to see how far these stories travel.